This sudden action of Hun Tiandi exceeded everyone's expectations. Even the nihility devouring flame, who was standing behind, had a change in expression. Immediately, his expression became a little gloomy. Everyone wanted to obtain the D-tier embryonic pill. However, no one expected that Hun Tiandi would swallow it in such a reckless manner. Bastard! Zhu Kuan's and Gu Yuan's expressions became dark and solemn after seeing this scene. A rich, murderous intent surged in their eyes as he coldly cried out, "Hun Tiandi, you are asking to die." Sucking up. That is not guaranteed. Hun Tiandi laughed towards the sky upon hearing this. The smile on his face became a little mysterious. At this moment, brilliant light began to rise from within his body. The injuries caused by the combined attacks of Gu Yuan and Zhu Kuan was completely healed in an instant. Waves after waves of frightening energy ripples slowly seeped out from within his body. The expressions of Gu Yuan and Zhu Kuan were once again altered after they detected the aura within Hun Tiandi's body, which had suddenly become many times stronger. The energy of the embryonic pill had begun to erupt. His strength will soar by many times for a short period of time. After that, however, it is likely that his body and soul would be filled by the increasingly terrifying energy until they explode. Gu Yuan's eyes flashed. He did not panic as he spoke in a deep voice. Do not give him any opportunity to refine it. All we need to do is to quickly stop him, and we will be able to force the D-tier embryonic pill from within his body. Zhu Kuan's expression had become very grave. He immediately cried out in a low voice, "Attack!" Gu Yuan nodded upon hearing his cry. Hun Tiandi's group had gained a great advantage when it came to subduing the D-tier medicinal pill. Moreover, at the critical moment, the transforming pill ring that was formed by the nihility devouring flame ended up restraining the almighty D-tier medicinal pill until it could not retaliate. The two individuals moved as they desired. A thought had just appeared when they rushed across the sky and shoot towards Hun Tiandi. "Haha, all of you are currently no match for me." Hun Tiandi was unafraid after seeing the two rushing over again. He laughed out loud. Both of his fists were clenched before they were suddenly thrown forward. Bah! After Hun Tiandi's fists were thrown forward, two 10,000 feet large vacuum space were directly formed in the sky. Gu Yuan's and Zhu Kuan's expressions changed after seeing this wind, which had suddenly become a lot more terrifying. He hurriedly unleashed his Do Qi to receive the attack. Immediately, two deafening loud sounds exploded in the sky. Bam bam! A frightening extermination storm exploded from Gu Yuan's and Zhu Kuan's hand. They directly pushed Xiao Yin Duo back by thousands of feet. On the other hand, Hun Tiandi continued to stand proudly in the sky. Moreover, the ripples spreading from within his body also became increasingly terrifying. Seeing the situation in the sky changing abruptly, Xiao Yin and the others experienced a great change in expression. It was unexpected that after devouring the D-tier medicinal pill, Hun Tiandi's strength would actually soar until such an extent. Moreover, everyone understood that this was only at the initial strengthening stage. If Hun Tiandi was allowed to successfully refine the D-tier embryonic pill, he would advance to the Do D class. At that time, there would really be no opportunity to turn things around. Gu Yuan, ultimately, I am still victorious in this fight. Hun Tiandi stepped on the empty air. He looked at Gu Yuan and Zhu Kuan before laughing out loud. He had prepared and schemed for many years before he finally reached this most critical stage. It is likely that you are feeling extremely terrible inside, right? Do not be happy too early. Gu Yuan laughed coldly. Hun Tiandi was not irritated upon hearing this. All he did was laugh in a faint voice. He shut his eyes slightly. A drunken expression was revealed in them. It had been many years since he had felt such an increase in strength. Are you able to hold on? The nihility devouring flame behind Hun Tiandi involuntarily said. If Hun Tiandi really ended up exploding due to being too full of energy, the nihility devouring flame would definitely be no match for Gu Yuan and Zhu Kun combined. You are far too reckless. The nihility devouring flame was a little furious as he spoke. No one knew if it was because Hun Tiandi had devoured the D-tier embryonic medicinal pill, or because the latter had snatched the pill from his hands. You can be rest assured. I know my limits. Hun Tiandi laughed faintly. He did not appear to panic because of the wildly soaring dou qi within his body. The nihility devouring flame's eyes flashed after hearing these words. All he could do was to nod his head and said, "Are you fine now? All I need to do is to safely leave." Hun Tiandi left. That appearance of his was unusually calm. It was as though he did not bother about Gu Yuan and Zhu Kun. Trying to leave? Do you think that it is so simple? Gu Yuan and Zhu Kun laughed coldly at this moment. Monstrous dou qi surged, after which it crazily erupted towards Hun Tiandi. However, Hun Tiandi merely waved his hand gently in the face of an attack by the two. He easily blocked the attacks. Hun Tiandi's finger drew past the space beside him when Gu Yuan duo were blocking his attack. A spatial crack appeared. Bang, bang, bang. Gu Yuan and Zhu Kun duo became increasingly wild upon seeing this scene. Powerful dou qi pillars, which caused one's heart to tremble, penetrated through the empty space. It continuously smashed onto the dou qi defense in front of Hun Tiandi. Ripples were stirred in the process. Hun Tiandi chose to ignore the attacks from those two. He hand-grabbed below him and forcefully sucked those experts from the Hun clan over before throwing them into the crack in space. Bang, bang. An extermination-like fluctuation was transmitted from behind. Hun Tiandi's face twitched. There was a trace of blood flowing down from the corner of his mouth. You! The nihility devouring flame was greatly startled upon seeing this scene. It seemed that the condition within Hun Tiandi's body was not as good as he had claimed. Of course, fighting against two advanced level 9-star Dosheng's attacks was not something that he could simply ignore even if he had the protection of the D-tier embryonic pill. Gu Yuan, I have said that I will ultimately be victorious in this situation. Once I completely refine the D-tier embryonic pill, it would be the time that your Gu clan, Lei clan, Yin clan, Sky Mansion Alliance, and Ancient Void Dragon tribe completely vanish from this world. Hun Tiandi swallowed the fresh, sweet blood in his mouth. He turned his head and looked densely at Gu Yuan's group. His tone was dark and cold as he spoke. Go! Hun Tiandi grabbed the nihility devouring flame and tossed his to the spatial crack after his voice sounded. Seeing this, the nihility devouring flame quickly became anxious. He said, "There is still my..." Before he could finish speaking, however, he saw a couple of bloody cracks appearing on Hun Tiandi's neck. Immediately, he understood that the latter was unable to fight. All he could do was to clench his teeth unwillingly and rush towards the spatial crack. Roar! Gu Yuan's and Zhu Kun's expression changed after they saw that Hun Tiandi was actually able to split the space present. A low roar sounded, after which an energy tide surged and crazily surged towards Hun Tiandi. Bang, bang, bang! The heavy mountain-like wild tide ruthlessly smashed onto Hun Tiandi's back. His expression quickly paled. Many bloody wounds split all over his body. Blood shot out and he was dyed into a bloody person in the blink of an eye. However, Hun Tiandi and the nihility devouring flame relied on this pushing force to charge directly into the crack in space. In a flash, he had vanished. The spatial crack also quickly disappeared. Swoosh! Gu Yuan and Hun Tiandi duo appeared at the spot where the crack in space was. A frightening ripple was surging from their hands. They tore violently, but the space itself had only fluctuated for a moment. No cracked lines appeared. Damn it! Gu Yuan and Zhu Kuan's expression immediately became ugly upon seeing this scene. This ancient god realm was frighteningly stable. They would have to return to the place where they had entered from if they wished to leave. However, by the time they did so, it was likely that Hun Tiandi's group would have escaped far away. The expressions of those two were gloomy as they slowly descended from the sky. They looked at the similarly quiet group. Finally, they could only sigh. Daughter, that bastard is far too cunning. Zhu Kun looked at Ziyin, rubbed his hands together, and laughed bitterly. Ziyin glanced at him, after which she looked at the quiet Xiaoyan. She shook her head and softly said, "What should we do now?" Hun Tiandi had obtained the D-tier embryonic pill. If he is allowed to successfully refine it, there would likely really be a big trouble. We will charge directly to the Hun realm now. Lei Ying's expression was ferocious as he spoke. Everyone exchanged glances after hearing this. They immediately nodded. This was the only thing that they could do now. If they sat back and did nothing, their fate would be similar to the Ling and other ancient clans. Xiaoyan sighed softly in his heart. He was aware that Hun Tiandi would not be this foolish. The latter was aware that his current condition was ill-suited for combat. Hence, either they would not return to the Hun clan, or they would use some methods to hide the Hun realm. Although hiding a realm was extremely troublesome, it would not be difficult given Hun Tiandi's ability. Moreover, the Hun clan had prepared for this for thousands of years. Naturally, they would be fully prepared. Hopefully, that fellow will be unable to refine the D-tier embryonic pill. Otherwise, Xiaoyan curled his mouth. He lifted his head and glanced at the others, only to discover that there was also some worry in their eyes. Once Hun Tiandi broke through to the Do D class, there would really be no one in this world who can restrain him. Given his vengeful character, all the factions in the Alliance army would definitely suffer from his destructive vengeance. It is pointless to think of more. Gather our people and hurry to the Hun realm. We will hold back Hun Tiandi before they could prepare themselves. As long as we do not give him any time to refine the D-tier embryonic pill, he would end up exploding from the energy of the D-tier embryonic pill without us needing to do anything. Gu Yuan inhaled a deep breath and spoke in a deep voice. Everyone nodded upon hearing this. Ugh! Wait a moment. Zhu Kuan's eyes suddenly flashed after he saw that everyone planned to leave. He laughed. Since we have come to this place, we must naturally not leave empty-handed. All of you should step aside. I will bring this square and the stone statue out of this place. Xiaoyan's group was stunned. Their eyes swept over the square. Although there were many heavenly flames present, they were no different than some specimens. It was pointless to take them. That statue had also once again become original with the departure of the D-tier embryonic pill. You can do as you like. Gu Yuan was currently in an extremely bad mood. He waved his hand, turned around, and rushed towards the spatial tunnel. Everyone followed behind him. Xiaoyan was one of the last to leave. He took another glance at Zhu Qin before frowning slightly. This old dragon emperor would not do something completely useless. Could it be that there is something strange about the square at the stone statue? Xiaoyan thought for a moment, but it was a futile effort. All he could do was to take a deep look at the smiling Zhu Kun, after which he proceeded to follow Gu Yuan. The Alliance army filled one's eyes within the mountain range covered with chilly winds. At this moment, Gu Yuan and the rest had a somewhat ugly expression as they stood in front of a ruins around a huge door. It was possible to detect a vague spatial fluctuation from this mess. The path to the Hun realm had already been destroyed. Gu Yuan's expression was gloomy. He glanced at everyone before he spoke, Additionally, based on my probing, the Hun realm has already been hidden. It looks like they were prepared. Xiao Yin gently exhaled. His expression was grave. It was unexpected that the current situation would be so severe. The Hun clan had completely hid their realm. In this way, even Gu Yuan was unable to find their position within a short while. Although it was impossible for the Han clan to continue hiding like this forever, all they needed to do was to hide until Hun Tiandi refined that D-tier embryonic pill. At that time, the Alliance army had already completely fell into a disadvantage. We have already dispatched people to probe the other tunnels that leads to the Hun realm. Yan Jin said. Gu Yuan shook his head slightly. Since the Hun clan was prepared, it was obvious that they would not leave such a fatal loophole. Their army was currently on the offensive, but they were unable to find their way in. This mission of theirs could be considered a failure. What should we do now? Lang was quiet for a moment. His voice was a little hoarse as he spoke. Now, all we can do is wait and see who has a better luck. Gu Yuan sighed softly. Wait for what? Lang asked in a startled voice. Refining the D-tier embryonic pill also involves some chances of failure. Now, the only thing that we can do is to pray that Hun Tiandi is unable to successfully refine the D-tier embryonic pill. As long as he failed to step into the Do D class, we will have an opportunity. Of course, if he succeed. Gu Yuan paused after he spoke until this point. It seems that the heavens wish for us to perish. Everyone was quiet. Their hearts sunk. Without realizing it, they had already come to such a stage. Let's scatter. We will leave some spies behind. Gu Yuan waved his hand, after which he slowly walked to the back. During this period of time, I will do my best to find the location where the Hun realm is hiding. If we are lucky, we might be able to discover it early. At that time, we will decide if we will charge into the Hun realm and engage in a decisive fight with them. Everyone was quiet after hearing Gu Yuan's words. All of them understood that they currently did not have much of a choice. Xiao Yin lifted his head towards the sky and exhaled softly. He immediately looked at the somewhat tired back of Gu Yuan. The 8 ancient clans had fought many times for the ancient god mansion. It was unexpected that the Hun clan actually ended up benefiting in the end. Let's go. Xiao Yin pulled Sun Er's and Kai Lin's somewhat icy hands. He shook his head and led the group to withdraw. The Alliance army, which covered the entire place, gradually withdrew from the mountain range. Although news did not spread, that solemn atmosphere still ended up spreading involuntarily. It caused the entire Alliance army to feel quite pressured. The Alliance army withdrew. Finally, they returned to the headquarters of the Sky Mansion Alliance. They had ended up in failure, but the Alliance did not scatter as a result. This was because all of them understood that by cooperating in the face of Hun Tiandi, who had managed to obtain the D-tier embryonic pill, they might still be able to survive. Once they separated, however, they would undoubtedly die. Hence, the Alliance army forces continued to stay guard around the Sky Mansion Alliance and continuously observe the activity on the Central Plains. Following the scattering of the Alliance army, time passed by a day at a time while many waited anxiously. However, Gu Yuan, who had been probing the location of the hidden Hun realm, did not stir any activity as the time flowed by. This result caused the hearts of many to sink slightly. Given the current situation, every additional day Hun Tiandi had to refine the pill meant an additional danger to the Alliance army. Although their hearts were searing hot, everyone understood that regardless of how anxious one was helpless in the face of the change in situation. Xiao Yin stood within the star realm as he lifted his head and looked at the huge square floating in the distant sky. It had been brought out from within the ancient god realm by Zhu Qin. There was 100,000 feet tall stone statue on it. Although one was unable to see anything unique, its mountain-like size still caused many to be shocked. It has been a month. Xiao Yin involuntarily muttered to himself as he stared at the huge square floating in the sky. An entire month had passed ever since Hun Tiandi had snatched the D-tier embryonic pill. During this 1 month, the Hun clan appeared to have completely vanished from this world. No information about them spread. Some of the outsiders, who were unaware of the situation, even thought that the Hun clan was eliminated by the Alliance army. Many factions came to congratulate them. However, Xiao Yin and the rest did not have the mood to bother about these people. They dispatched some individuals to receive them and dismiss these people. Xia Yan Yi. A gentle voice was transmitted from behind him. Xiao Yin turned his head and looked at the picture-like lady, who was gently walking over. He also gave a faint smile. "Is there any news from Uncle Gu?" Xiao Yin inquired. He only sighed in disappointment after seeing Sun Er shake her head. Waves of furtage rose within his heart as he shut his eyes. This kind of waiting without doing anything was really terrible. Sun Er looked at this young man, whose face was filled with tiredness, as she stood in front of Xiao Yin. She gently leaned against him. Her exquisite face was lifted and her somewhat warm hand gently massaged Xiao Yan's temples in an attempt to relieve him of some fatigue. Xiao Yin relaxed his arms as he sniffed the tempting body fragrance from the girl in front of him. He hugged that gently waist and buried his head into Sun Er's black hair. Finally, he muttered, "Am I finally going to fail after working hard for so many years?" Xiao Yin GG is already extremely incredible, Sun Er smiled and softly replied. Regardless of what the ending will be in the future, Xiao Yin GG will be considered to be the most successfully in the hearts of many people. I have clearly failed. Xiao Yin smiled bitterly and stated. Did Xiao Yin GG not mention that only by putting things down will one be able to lift things up? Letting things go as one wish is the epitome of a free and unrestrained person. Sun Er spoke in a soft and gentle voice. Now is different from the past. If I put things down now, the entire Sky Mansion Alliance, and even the Gu, Lei, and Yin clans, Xiao Yin inhaled a deep breath of air. He lifted his head and looked at the bright moon in the sky. He said, "At times, one can pick things up but cannot simply let them go." Sun Er bit her red lips as she looked at the face, which once again revealed a determination. She continued to be embraced by Xiao Yin while an extremely pretty smile surfaced on her face. Xiao Yin GG, we will succeed. Time flowed by. Another half a month swiftly passed amidst everyone's uneasiness. The Hun clan continued to be completely quiet during this half a month. It was as though they had completely vanished without a trace. All the various upper echelons of the Alliance sat within a large hall. There was a worry on their brow. Each day that passed caused an increase in the uneasiness of their hearts. Xiao Yin gently sighed as he looked at the somewhat depressed hall. This feeling of being able to do nothing while waiting for the appearance of the Hun clan was really terrible. Damn it! Why is it that these bastards have still not appeared? If they wish to fight, then let's fight. My Lei clan will fight a bloody battle with them until the end. This period of time is far too suffocating. Lei suddenly slammed his palm on the table amidst this gloominess and shattered the table into dust. He suddenly stood up and spoke with gritting teeth. Who is going to fight with you? Where will you go to fight? Yan Jin by the side frowned and stated. Lei clenched his teeth and finally sighed in a tired manner. He sat back down. The Hun clan had been hiding. Where would he find them to fight? Everyone, Xiao Yin overlooked the hall. He was just about to utter some words to raise everyone's morale when the space within the hall shook. Gu Yuan's figure was revealed. Everyone present suddenly stood up after seeing Gu Yuan's appearance. They anxiously asked, "Is there any information?" Gu Yuan's expression was unusually grave. He slowly nodded. Before everyone could rejoice, however, he said, I have indeed found the location of the Hun realm, but it is already too late. A basin of cold water seemed to have splashed over everyone after they heard these words. The excitement on their faces had suddenly disappeared. What does Uncle Gu mean? Xiao Yin hesitated for a moment before asking. Gu Yuan sighed. His eyes were quickly thrown towards the sky above the Central Plains. The entire Central Plains suddenly shook intensely when he did so. This scene was detected by Xiao Yan's group. They hurriedly walked out from the hall and looked at the distant sky. There was suddenly a black circle of light appearing. This light circle spread QT a shocking speed the moment it appeared. The entire Central Plains was enveloped within it. Bang, bang, bang. The natural energy that filled the entire Central Plains had suddenly boiled with the appearance of this light circle. Countless number of experts paled from shock as they lifted their heads to observe the sky. Under the focus of countless number of experts from the Central Plains, the black light began to shake in the sky. Finally, it turned into a light cauldron in front of many horrified eyes. The size of the cauldron could not be described. It seemed to have enveloped the entire Central Plains within it. This is... Xiao Yin and the rest had a change in expression as they watched the unusual scene in the sky. They could sense a familiar feeling amidst the endless light. It was that of Hun Tiandi. Hun Tiandi has already formed an initial merger with the D-tier embryonic pill. Now, he intends to use the Central Plains as a cauldron, Levs as the ingredients, the world as the flame, and his body as the pill. Gu Yuan clenched his fist tightly as his low and deep voice resounded beside everyone's ears. He is planning to truly refine that D-tier embryonic pill into an actual D pill. Once the pill is formed, he would also advance into the Do D class. Hun Tiandi, all of us has underestimated his wild ambition.